Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation for today is as follows. Gaudi Mahalla Panjwa. Har ke das syo sakat nahin sang. Oh bikhai us Ram ko rang rahao. मन असवार जैसे तुरी सिगारी, ज्यों का पुरख पुजारे, ज्यों का पुरख पुचारे नारी। बैल को नेत्रा पाए दुहावे, गौचर सिंह पाछे पावे। गाडर ले काम धेन कर पूजी, सौदा को तावे बिन पूंजी। नानक राम नाम जप चीत, सिमर स्वामी हरसा मीत. This passage makes a very clear statement of what the method is, of what the path of Gurmat involves, through several examples. So the opening verse is actually the central message, the Rahau, where the Guru says, Har ke das syon, sakat nahin sang. Syon with. So Har ke das is a reference to the devotee, the Bhagat of Ram. Har ke das syo sakat nahin sang. There cannot be an association between the Har ke das, namely the Bhagat, or the Sakat. So the question is, who is the Sakat? Technically, a Sakat or Sakta the term is used for worshippers of Shakti in Hinduism, which represents the dynamic power of the god Shiva and is personified as a goddess. But generally speaking, the term is also used for someone who is asur, out of step, out of rhythm, or someone who is cynical or lacks the motivation to change. In this particular verse, one can see multiple connotations of this term, both in the sense of the siddhas who were saktas, that the gurus have had engagements with and differences with on method, and it can also refer to, very generically, for somebody that is just not motivated. So, har ke das syo sakat nahin sang. There just cannot be an association between these two methods. Why? Very clear. The Guru says, because oh bekhai us Ram ko rang. That one, that is to say the Sakat, is a worshipper of power, Shakti. And this one, namely the Bhagat, is steeped in love of the Ram self. So you see the difference here. Bikhai, so Bikhai, is a reference to a worshipper of Shakti. And Bikhai, you have to understand that Shiva is called the Bikhai because he's consumed poison. And for this you have to recall the drinking of poison is a reference to the mythology of Shiva drinking the toxic byproduct of creation, the mythical churning of the oceans that created this byproduct that Shiva drank in order to save the world, which is why he's called Neelakant, because his throat turned blue with that poison. And so this Bikhai is one who is possessed of that poison. So the Guru says our paths are very different. The Bhagat and the Sakta. They cannot form a Sangha, which is an assembly. So in a religious context, it means a confederation. So people following different cannot follow the same dharma or way of living. Now, one could also think of Sakat in the context of Haume. On the one hand is Haume consciousness, which is power hungry, and on the other side is the Ram self, and the twain shall not meet. Haume nave nal virodha. So whichever way you look at this, the Guru is giving you a very clear understanding of what this path involves. And then in the next 3 verses, he gives us some wonderful examples of how certain things are just impossible. They cannot happen. As a pointer to the fact that being a Sakat will not get you the goal of Gurmat. What are these impossibilities? In the first verse after the Rahau, the Guru says, Man asawar jaise turi sigari, jo ka purkh puchare nari. 2 examples. Like an unskilled rider cannot ride a trained horse, turi sigari, jaise asawar. Asawar, unskilled rider. Man asawar. So the mind, when it's not trained, not skilled, it cannot do certain things. In this case, the example is one of turi sigari. A horse, no matter how trained the horse is. And the second example, Jio ka purkh puchare nari. Puchare literally means to fondle, and nari is a woman. Ka purkh is someone who is not a man, a eunuch. A eunuch. Just like a eunuch cannot consummate with a woman, an unskilled rider cannot ride a horse, just like putting blinders on a bull. The next verse, Bail ko netra paye duhave. Putting blinders on a bull, because one did put blinders on a cow in order to milk it. You can't do that to an ox. And it's like, he says, Gauchar sing pache pave, like feeding grass to a cow in hopes of making it like a predator lion. Will not happen. Or Gardarle kamadhen kar puji, like trying to make a bleeping lamb to become a wish-fulfilling cow. This is a reference again to Hindu mythology. Kamadhen, which is the celestial cow, one of the products of the churning of the oceans, and which fulfills all wishes, also known as Survi. And the last example, Sauda ko tave bin punji. Punji is capital, money. Sauda is to make a trade or to buy merchandise. Tave is to run, to execute. So it's like trying to execute a trade without money. So these examples tell you that you just cannot adopt the wrong way to achieve self-realization. And in the concluding verse, the Guru tells us what that way is. And he says, Nanak Ram Naam Japachit Simar Swami Harsa Meet. Nanak proclaims, Nanak says, Nanak, Ram Naam, self-knowledge, Jap, understand, grasp it with your mind, with your heart, establish it in your heart. Ram Naam Japachit. Simar Swami, connect, mentally connect, from the heart connect with the Swami, the Master. Harsa meet, who is like your friend, the self. So that really is the way. There are two terms here that we should take away. Jap and simmer. These are foundational terms in Sikhi. Now, there is a lot of debate and issues as to what jap really means or what is simran. That is something that you, the listener, has to wrestle with and have to figure out. You know the dictionary meaning of jap and simmer, but we have to understand it in the context of Gurbani. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.